Hello and welcome to Metra AV Tech Tips, and Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Hanukkah, and what other occasion you can come up with.
Happy holidays, yeah.
And happy holidays, and welcome to our eggnog episode.
Eggnog episode.
Now, since Adam has just started his keto diet and has turned down my wide variety of exotic flavors of potato chips and peanuts today, he doesn't get any eggnog, but
I'm also turning down the eggnogs.
I'm doing good.
All of the eggnogs.
So, actually, Adam, you've surprised me with a fairly comprehensive and deep topic for a show that, and I say this because we're taking the next 2 weeks off.
We are, yes. So, and actually, yeah, so a little bit of housekeeping then, since you bring that up. So, as always, everyone, thank you for joining us today. And if you have any questions about whatever it is that we are talking about today, of course, leave it over in the chat section over on the side if you're watching this live. Or if you have questions after the fact and you're watching this after it's been recorded, leave it down in the comment section below. But of course, hit that little bell notification to let you know whenever we do go live. Like, share, and subscribe is always helpful. We are this close to 2,000 subscribers.
Wow.
This close.
Okay, can we do it by my birthday?
December 31st?
Yes.
So, possibly. I think we might actually be able to do that.
Anybody you know, your friends, your family, your enemies,
Yeah.
recommend that they subscribe to our channel.
Yep.
Tell them we got really cool hats.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, Adam.
Yep.
And get us to 2,000 before my birthday, because, you know, I'm 62 this year, so I'll be an old man.
Now you're an old man?
No, I will be an old man.
Oh, you will be an old man.
I will be an old man.
Okay. Just, I needed to make sure that we were good with that. So, oh yeah, Hanukkah is already over. So, belated Happy Hanukkah. So, thank you for that. Okay, so, yes, it is.
I assume somebody just shared that with us.
They did, yes.
Thank you.
So again, everybody, thank you so much for joining us today. So it is kind of our Christmas episode today, because, like Brent said, we will be closed, or not closed.
Well, closed.
We won't be doing our live episodes
on hiatus
next Wednesday or the Wednesday after that, as well as Metra AV will be closed the 23rd and 24th. As well, so we will not be. We won't be open during those days.
I will be on vacation. Well, not here.
Yeah, you'll just be somewhere else.
I'll be on the road.
Yeah,
it's not really vacation, but on the road.
Yeah,
the Wednesday before New Year's.
Yeah. So, but good news is that we're going to be taking this time to actually revamp our series.
When he says we, he's doing all the work. I'm taking the glory.
Yeah, of course. But so come back.
Is that shocking?
At the first Wednesday of the year will be our first episode with a slightly updated dynamic and layout for the show and whatnot. But come back and check that out. So that will be the 5th.
I
believe that will be the 5th.
That will be the 5th.
So come back for that as well. But also for today's episode, today is actually the plan for today was to go over this CEDIA document. Because this is a brilliant document. This is the CTA RP28, which doesn't mean a whole lot when you're just saying it that way, but it's the HDMI System Design and Verification Recommended Practice. And
this is actually, most of us have not seen the document.
Yes.
And Mr. Myers recommended this to you and I.
Yes, he did, yeah.
And in your infinite wisdom, you hunted it up, which I am told was quite the chore.
Yeah, no, it was, but I will say that once we tracked this down and read through this document, it's brilliant. Now, before we get to that document, what I do want to say is going back to what we were talking about just a little bit ago.
Woohoo!
So there's our happy holidays, everyone.
Dig the sweaters.
That's our team right there. We've got Stuart as our Force Ghost. We've got Will and Lewis there. Lewis is with his infinite lightsaber. And then, of course, Brent and myself. There in the front, and I believe Jesse Crabb is actually piloting the TIE Fighters, which is just fantastic.
It certainly fits.
It's great. Anyways, okay, so on to
Merry holidays to you too.
Yeah, exactly. So on to today's topic. So of course, we'll be going over this document. Now, this is just a quick preview of the document and the introduction towards the document.
Right, because the document is a whole lot more than an episode.
Oh, it's huge. And honestly, today was going to be just this. It was going to be the entire document in one episode, and we realized very quickly that it wasn't going to happen that way. So come back after we're done with this. Come back after the first of the year. The first Wednesday of the year will be the episode 1, where we dive in a little bit deeper into a portion later
section
on.
2. Now, one of the things we do recommend is, if you're not already a member, sign up with CEDIA so you have access to this documentation. and there's a lot of incredible documents in this vault.
100%. It cannot go without being said, this document and the wealth of knowledge that CEDIA has for stuff like this is just, for people in our market, it's
And by the way,
so
we're not
worth it.
CEDIA employees. We're not here on the behest of CEDIA.
No.
In fact, we're not even sure if we're allowed to do what we're doing.
Well, here's the thing.
This document's awesome.
Yeah, we're not here to give away the document. You actually do need to go and sign up for it. If you go, it's free, which is great. So go over to cedia.net. And I believe I have it here. Let me hit the button, see if I get the right one. There it is. Go over to cedia.net, and you're going to look for the CEDIA/CTA-RP28. This is the document that we're going to be going over. But go over to cedia.net, register for their on their website and everything. Go register for that and track this document down. Now, I've also put this document, a link to this document down in the description below, as well as a link to go and register with CEDIA. And so I highly, highly recommend it. Go ahead and download it, because we're going to be talking about this document over the next couple episodes when we get into the new year, as well as talking about it today. So you might go ahead and start that process and have it and read through it, because look, we are HDMI people. I mean, that's kind of the thing
what we're known for.
That's what we're known for. And honestly, this document, the biggest thing for me for this document is basically telling us that we've been saying the right things. It validates what we've been saying.
Which is, first off, it's awesome because the people that were involved in making this document are awesome, and he actually has a list, and I would like to say that every one of these guys is brilliant.
Yeah, 100%. In fact, I'll see if I can put it up here.
Having known most of them,
it's hard to see.
Hard to say.
So yeah,
but I'm gonna call out some names just because I have it here.
Yeah.
The chair is Joel Silver, and everybody in the industry knows Joel from ISF.
Yep.
And he is very much a stickler for things being done correctly.
Yes.
And is very forceful in his approach to things being done correctly. Jason Dustel from AV Pro Meridio. And then you've got Mark Stockfish, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Mark Stockfish.
I wish I wasn't reading ahead of myself. Matt Murray, also from AV Pro Meridio. Christian Wolf from Dolby, man's a genius.
Yep.
Roger Dressler, honestly, I don't know Roger.
RWD Consulting.
I don't know Roger. Rob Saban, I know. Kevin
Azelli,
I don't know, but he's from Crestron, so you got to give him that. David Meyer, who's been a guest.
Yep.
And a frequent contributor to the comments.
Yep.
And Walt Zerby from CEDIA.
Walt Zerby. Yeah, Walt Zerby was also one of the ones who helped us with David as well when we were doing the HDR episodes. When we got the corrections to how HDR operates and functions
correctly.
And honestly, brilliant information. I know it sounds like we're kind of shilling to the CEDIA organization right now, but really, this document, should be mandatory reading for you.
It
really should. As a new technician coming onto the job, this should be one of the required readings for getting them ready for HDMI.
Particularly after the article that was published today by Ars Technica.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, that interesting one. Be ready, everyone out there who's dealing with HDMI on TVs and monitors, because
if you haven't seen the article, go to the link on Integration Pro, Ars Technica. Just because it says 2.1
doesn't mean it's 2.1.
Doesn't mean it is.
Because technically all of the features of everything below 2.1, so 2.0, are included in the 2.1 specs.
So they can call something
now
2.1.
Wherein they're requiring it. We'll have an entire episode talking just about that.
The short of the long of it is this.
Yeah.
HDMI 2.1 is a list of feature sets, resolutions, and specifications, apparently none of which are actually mandatory. You can check off what you want.
Yeah.
For example, eARC.
Yeah.
Well, part of 2.1 can actually be done in 2.0.
Correct.
And you can do high bandwidth HDR in 2.0.
Yep.
So, but it's a 2.1 feature set.
Yeah.
So, the article is enlightening and disturbing simultaneously.
Yes. The scary thing for everyone out in the field is that you may start seeing things that say that it's 2.1, but in reality it's not actually 2.1. They're allowing the manufacturer to leave it open for whether or not they're going to say specifically what it does and does not do.
And honestly, we went through the exact same thing with 2.0 when it first came out, or 4K. Because there's a whole lot of 4K sets that were what we called faux K.
Yes.
They weren't really 4K because they actually fell within the HDMI 1.4 domain.
Yes. Yeah.
No deep color, no HDR,
Right.
no. They didn't go above 10.2 gigabits,
Yeah.
really closer to 8 to 9.
Yeah.
But we're seeing the same thing in the HDMI world. Well, as we know from buying it, getting a TV set and plugging the Xbox One X in,
Yep.
it didn't do 120.
Well, let's not get wrapped up into that discussion yet, because that's going to be an entire thing all on its own.
Just took the fun right out of my Wednesday.
Yeah, I know, but it's going to be, well, listen, you started it. So let's go ahead and get back to this document here, because this is really what today's topic is about. Again, go on to CEDIA.net. Go check out go register and then check out this document. Again, there's a link in the description below to go ahead and find both sections to that. You do need to register, and it'll say it's for sale. It is technically for sale, but it's for sale for $0. Go ahead and do it. It's worth it. It really is.
And there's some interesting things. They've got a description and kind of bibliography, gives you words and what they mean.
Yep.
But my favorite is part 5.
Yeah.
Compliance notation, and this completely describes HDMI.
Yes.
Now, there are 2 things listed in compliance documentation: should and should not, with descriptions of what those words mean as far as the documentations.
Yeah.
Should. The word indicates that a certain course of action is preferred but not necessarily required.
Which you actually just had that discussion on the phone just no more than 20 minutes ago about this is something that we've dealt with for a long time. It was
the DirecTV issue?
Philips?
Oh yeah, the spec going all the way back to Philips.
Right.
At this point, 35 years,
Right.
about voltage high and voltage low.
Right. Yeah. There is. It should reach, but it may not.
Well, now, and the next word is,
Yeah.
the next phrase is should not.
Should not.
And again, this phrase simply means that a possibility or course of action is undesirable, but not prohibited.
Not prohibited.
So that's right there. That is HDMI in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Now, you are coming from a jaded portion of the industry because you've been doing this for so long now with
Well,
HDMI and whatnot. But
and you and I have talked about it.
Yeah.
We actually like HDMI.
oh yeah,
Because its potential is tremendous, assuming, and that's where this documentation comes in,
Yes.
assuming certain protocols are followed by both the manufacturer and the integrator.
yes.
And the reality is the onus is on the integrator,
Yeah.
because there's not much we can really do to change manufacturers.
So going through this document, when you're looking through it, it's great. You've got the contributors and everything, and you can actually track these people down. They're members of the industry.
Some of them pop up on here.
Some of them come here and talk with us. Like, again, David Meyer came in, and Walt Zerbe we dealt with. There's also a great portion to this in the references section. It actually talks about informative reference list, where they actually give you the avenue or the direction to go and find more information about how this document was built. Things like, for instance, it's got the ANSI standards, the CTA 861G, which is a DTV profile for uncompressed high-speed digital interfaces.
Which I did not know.
Right. Then we've got a CTA from CEDIA again. It's CEB 22, which is a home theater recommended practice audio design. Now that one's back from 2009. I started reading through that one. Still valid. 2009.
Well, it should be. Audio has changed a whole lot less than video.
The only thing that really that is not in that document is the Atmos, which is really the newest thing since 2009.
Does that document
basically
include the color coding for the different RCAs?
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, actually, that's a separate document, but that one's still kind of good to have because, again, if everyone follows the same
I
standard,
guess at no point has anybody.
yeah, pretty much.
I think Onkyo Integra did.
Now they talk about from HDMI Licensing Administration and HDMI Forum. There's two different documents in there because, again, everything from HDMI 1.4 and before was part of the HDMI Licensing Administration, but everything from HDMI 2.0 forward is now part of the HDMI Forum.
Now, it is important to understand that if you're selling an HDMI product, particularly cables, you still have to go through both groups.
Yeah, exactly, because both are still attached to it. Now, well, specifically what it is that the newest one is using features from the older one, so you have both taken care
Right,
of.
but it's two different groups, so it's kind of like you got to go to Ford and GM to get your Dodge.
Moving on. There's also recommendations for you to read through, some ITU, BT 709 and BT 2020 values and whatnot. And again, all of this is documented inside of this document, so you can do additional reading, and I promise you, it's so worth it. These are things where, okay, at the end of the day, will this get the job done? There are
will help
arguments.
you get the job done more consistently, correctly.
Yes, and so what that's going to do is it's going to make sure that can you walk onto a job site, plug in a TV, plug in a source, and connect them together, and will it work? 95% of the time, I'll give it a pretty high number. 95% of the time, yeah, it's going to work perfectly fine. But that
what
5%,
it really does is if you get all of your employees on the same page.
That's right. Yeah, exactly that.
And there's a tremendous, and again, we don't want to sound like we're shilling for this thing because we're not. But the information in here from a day-to-day installation, setup, and system design, it's a great plus. Because if you get everybody on the same page.
Yeah.
And when you first came to work here.
Yeah. This
Now,
would
I
have
had
been,
gone out in the field with you a couple of times.
Yeah.
And met you in the field, but your view of HDMI was pretty much from dealing with local cable boxes and sources.
Well, and here's the thing: dealing with if I had this document early on, it would have made a world of difference. Being able to learn the stuff that this document has is good information. So, real quick, I do want to jump into the definitions and the acronyms. My computer just went to sleep. So
here.
Oh yeah. No, yeah, I got this here.
Oh,
so
okay.
we've got, with the definitions and acronyms section of this portion here is, again, just an absolute wealth of knowledge. I would almost say that having this portion of the document saved on your phone somewhere so that you can search
when
for
you're
something.
talking with tech support with the manufacturer.
Yeah.
Having this knowledge so that you're sharing the same frame of words and references.
Right.
Which frequently on tech calls, a lot of it at the beginning of any tech call is getting to the same point of reference.
Yeah, exactly. But I like it because it has anything from active HDMI cable all the way up to wide color gamut, and it's everything in between. And you can see I've got 1, 2, 3, 4.5 pages on just definitions, which that's half the battle. When you're learning about the HDMI system as a whole and how it operates, understanding the language that's being used and the terminology that's being used is half the battle, because there are things in here like, again, active HDMI cable. Well, let's see, I've got an HDMI cable that is all all active HDMI cables are HDMI cables, but not all HDMI cables are active HDMI cables.
That is true. Are all woofers waffers, and if all waffers are weefers, are they all woofers?
Are they all woofers? So an active HDMI cable, it goes over, what it is. It's an HDMI cable that's been augmented by captive electronics for signal equalization, which uses power drawn through the HDMI connector or from an external power supply.
That was the phone call I just took.
It is, yeah. And so they go into greater detail a little bit about that. But things like bandwidth, maximum aggregate rate of data transfer across a given path, main channel data transfer rates, and typically measured in gigabits per second. They spell that out for you. Gigabits per second. However, they did miss the small g, and they have a big G instead of a small g for the short portion.
So do
so,
we. Because look in our documentation, we generally put the big G.
Do we put the big G?
Yeah, because it looks cool.
Oh, okay, pardon me. No. I'm sorry. They did get it right. I got the wrong letter. It is a little B. If it's a big B, if it's
right,
a big
we do the
B,
little B's.
If it's a big B,
we
it's
do
a
big
gigabyte.
G, little B.
Yeah, little G is gigabit, which is the important information for that, because for every byte, that's 8 bits.
So how many pints are in a gallon?
4? No, that's quarts. That's quarts.
How many pints are in a quart?
16 in a gallon?
2 pints in a quart, 4 quarts in a gallon.
Sure, I
8
believe
pints
you.
in it. It's 16 ounces in a gallon. Your wife does all the cooking, doesn't she?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
I burn water. I burn water.
You act like that's hard to do. It's not.
Nope. So some of the things that this does also is that this is an HDMI 2.1 document. So all of the new stuff is also in here. So we have things like, where did it go? We've got display stream compression, which isn't necessarily new, but we have fixed rate link. It tells you a definition.
Display stream compression.
It's not necessarily new, but it's being utilized more.
Utilized, right?
Yeah.
For example, we've been using it in our 120
extender. Yep, right.
And which obviously is not a 2.1 product.
Right.
But it's such a great technology, and it works very well in the old world.
That's right. So some of the other things that it has in here is like, for instance, it has fixed rate link, FRL. FRL is essentially replacing TMDS as the
Transmission mode.
transmission mode. That's the correct term for it, the transmission mode.
Wow, you'd think I had done this before.
It's almost like, yeah. And honestly, this is one of those things where if you have dealt with us for a long time, you have heard us say to do certain things a certain way, and if you read this document, it's pretty much exactly as we have said.
In all honesty, when's the first time you read this document?
When they first showed it to me, this document was maybe 3 weeks ago. No, about 2 months ago when I first found it.
Okay.
Or when it was first revealed to me that it was here. I did skim through it.
Now, in all honesty, the first time I saw this document was today.
Was today. Yep.
And because you said, hey, guess what today's show is?
Guess what's
Oh, okay. However.
Yep. Yep.
I mean, looking through this thing, and granted, which is why we discussed this is going to be more than an episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, this is a
just
very,
awesome.
very large document. It's really good stuff.
This is everything I have learned in almost 15 years in a document.
They did a very good job of defining what the stuff is. So, for instance, I want to talk about fixed rate link. I want to read you word for word what it says here. Fixed rate link is technology for transmitting high-speed serial data introduced in HDMI 2.1 to support an aggregate 48 gigabits per second on the main data channels. It utilizes a tiered set of fixed data rates instead of variable pixel frequency-based rates of TMDS. FRL eliminates the TMDS character clock, which is channel 4, or TMDS 3. No.
It was 0.
0 was clock? Mm-hmm. That's right, yeah. Yep, that's right. And optionally repurposes the clock channel as a fourth data lane. Now, here's something interesting. Optionally. So, which is kind of interesting because that means that it may or may not be used in all circumstances.
Well, if it's FRL, the highest probability is because everybody's buying the same transmit receive modules.
Mm-hmm. So FRL also optionally, introduces light compression to reduce the bitrate on existing formats, as well as enable next generation video features such as 8K and 10K resolutions with HFR and HDR.
So, quick question. Aggregate. How many channels are there to get an aggregate of 48 gigs now?
Say that one more time.
How many video channels are there to get an aggregate of 48?
Well, right now we're dealing with 2.1. It's 4 channels at 12 gigabits per second.
And what is it under 2.0?
It's 18 gigs at 6 gigs per second on 3 channels.
Correct.
Yeah, because the 4th channel is the clock or channel 0.
Well, D0.
Yeah, D0. Yeah, D. That's what I was looking for. D.
So D3 is actually the 4th channel.
The 4th channel, yeah, because it's computer, speak is what we're dealing with. Because 0 is 1, because it is a place.
No, 0 is a number.
Well, it's a number. It's a position. So, really good stuff in here. It also has things. So we talked about EDID, which it lists out exactly what the EDID stands for. So you've got EDID,
and
which
if you've watched any of our videos, you know we are big on EDID management and control.
Oh, it's very important. Extended display identification data. Now, again, there's more types of EDID. We've talked about this before. There's EDID, and then there's EDID plus. No, EDID.
I honestly don't know where you're going with this.
I'm forgetting which one.
Is there math involved in this?
Enhanced. No, there it is. Enhanced EDID.
Oh, okay.
It actually has it listed right in there. I should have just read it.
I thought thinking maybe this is one of your math classes.
Yeah, no, we know better.
Now, and effectively what this means is EDID has now also moved off the DDC channels and writing in other channels, which means geometry of cable becomes very critical.
Well, no, EDID still travels down the DDC
does,
channel.
But it's also being carried on other channels now because they've added so much more stuff. All EDID is not on the EDID channels anymore. Under 2.1.
I would be very curious. Is that listed in this document? I don't remember reading
I don't know.
that.
I haven't. You've read.
I've probably read more of it than you have.
Oh, you certainly have.
So
I got through section 1.
Yeah.
Glanced at section 2 and realized, as you did, that this is not a single broadcast.
Oh yeah, no. There's so much to this, but it goes over information like Dolby Vision. It talks about Dolby Vision. Talks about HDR, HDR 10, 10 plus. Yep. It's got all these other things in here: passive HDMI, HDR, hot plug detect.
Which something we push frequently with the AIO2.
Yep, exactly. It talks about what's this, the source device or a sync device. It goes into great detail on all of these things. Guys, it's a wealth of knowledge. Definitely check this out because this is so worth it. As a new installer or someone who's been doing this for a long time, this is great information. It also goes into the acronyms and what each one means. So ALS stands for auto lip sync. What's AOC?
Well, that's active optical cable. We know that one.
You're cheating right now.
No, okay, DCI, I did not know that one. EOTF, didn't know that one. FPS, FRL, GPU, HDCP, HDMI, HEAC, HFR. Okay, I did not know there's a second acronym for high frame rate.
Yep.
So I did not know that one.
Which the high frame rate, that's anything really above 60 frames per second. That's in between 60 and 120.
HPD, HDR, HLG, IP.
Variable refresh rate,
ITU,
that's the VRR.
QFT, I did not know that one. Quick frame transport. What the?
So the quick frame transport, let's find out, Brent.
Okay.
Let's find out.
Adam, what do I not know?
Quick frame transport, ready?
Yeah.
It's an HDMI 2.1 feature that uses a higher bandwidth link to send video faster than its frame timing dictates, reducing latency and power usage.
For video gaming.
Video games. That's really where that one's going to come into play.
QMS, quick media switching, that's not new. SMPTE, know that one. TMDS, UHD, UHDA. I did not know there's an alliance for that, but okay. VESA, VIC, Video Identification Code. Did not know that one. Variable refresh rate we knew, and wide color gamut we knew. So there's a couple in there I didn't know.
Yeah. So
HDCP, what's that?
High definition content protection.
I was being facetious.
Oh, I know. Well, I got it though, right?
Yes, you did.
I got it. Yeah. See. Okay, so let's jump into section 2 because section 2 is really where we start getting into the meat and potatoes of what we're talking about. Well, and really, section 1 is.
Okay, now we're not going to cover all of section 2 today. It's impossible.
No, yeah, there's way too much. But section 1 is just the definitions and acronyms.
And a hello.
And that's the thing that honestly I would print out just section 1 as something to keep with you on the truck for the new hires or whatever it is, because there is so much good information on just this one thing here. Because a lot of times when you buy a new TV or a new TV comes in the packaging, whatever it is, and you open up the user manual to find out these different settings, or you go into the menu, a lot of times that menu may only have the acronym for whatever setting that is. Or worse, they have their own name.
And you got to guess.
For that setting. You have to guess what it is.
SimpLink,
CEC, AnyNet. I apologize, everyone, for I'm talking too much is what it is.
And you did not get it from me.
So.
Okay, well, starting at the very beginning of section 2, the first thing we see is HDMI 1.4 and HDMI 2.1. They kind of glossed over 2.0.
Right.
Assuming that we understood it.
Yeah.
Well, let's start with the world according to GARP in the old days.
Okay.
1.4.
1.4.
1.4, well, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4 was effectively where we have lived for the past 12 years. And when 4K first came out, as mentioned at the beginning of the broadcast, we were still in the 1.4 domain. It wasn't until we actually started pushing out deep color and HDR that we were forced to go to the 2.0 domain, because the 1.4 hardware plain and simply could not deal with it.
Right.
It didn't have the ability to recognize the instructions or the metadata for HDR. The processing chip did not support deep color, even though 1.4 had the bandwidth to do it. In most cases, the hardware didn't. It's kind of like in the early days of, in the final days of Component.
Yep.
It supported 1080i, but not 1080p. Why?
Is it just because of a standard that they just didn't allow it? Could it physically do it?
They could physically do it, no problem, but the pressure from the content providers to have anything at that higher level of picture quality be protected with HDCP, nobody enabled Component. It was not a physical limitation.
Wasn't that the analog sunset?
Well, that was 2012, but
yeah,
the analog sunset was, this is the end of analog connections.
Right.
We're not putting any more on, and it actually happened well before that. And do you know why?
Nope.
Economics.
Well, and it happened before, but it had to be kind of filtered down into
Yeah, it
the
didn't
rest
take
of the
long.
equipment, right?
Once they decided there was going to be a sunset, manufacturers started yanking off analog and component ports as quick as they could to save hard money.
I was going to say, for them, it saves money because
Saves
they don't
money,
have to put
right?
it on there. Yeah.
Because the digital and analog conversion costs money. All the jack packs cost money.
Yep.
So if you're selling a DVD player, and they were for $49,
Yeah.
anything you can take out
Worth it.
is money you can put in.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely worth it.
You gave me this, I
yeah,
swear.
See, now it's your turn. So going with this, then, now we're jumping into 2.1, and I like the way that they describe these here, because it says that there exist two major pathways for revisions of the HDMI specification: HDMI 1.x, culminating in HDMI 1.4b, and HDMI 2.x, culminating in HDMI 2.1, which each revision introduced a set of optional features and increased aggregated data rates.
What was the most important word in that entire sentence?
Introduced a set of optional features?
Yeah, optional.
Optional features. So, and actually that is kind of interesting, because again, even before that other document that we were talking about before, and again, not to get into that document right now, but even before that, you had source devices that had, certain feature sets. Even just in 2.0, they had some features of 2.0, but not all of them, because they didn't really need it for whatever they were using it for. Like, for instance, HDMI Ethernet. For that is not used for Ethernet anymore. It's used
and
for
what
ARC.
revision was that?
1.3?
Yes, it was.
See, I'm getting.
Congratulations.
I'm remembering that now.
How many devices have actually used Ethernet over HDMI?
None in the wild.
That would be the correct statement.
As far as we can know, and I put out a challenge to anybody: if you can find an actual device that used
Consumer
HDMI
device.
Ethernet, yeah.
I'm not looking for a one-off lab device.
No. Although honestly, at this point, I'm kind of looking for that too, because I would like to see something that actually did it and just see if it actually worked correctly, because it was a really neat idea, but no one utilized it for whatever reason. So.
And what channels did that travel over?
That was over the DDC line, wasn't
HEAC.
it? HEAC. That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Which also included audio return.
Right. So.
Now, just a physical change. Prior to 1.3, there was an unterminated pin on an HDMI terminal. There was no cable on it, unless you bought an ethereal cable.
Yeah.
Because our cables were built from the beginning with everything pinned and filled, propagated. But they did also move one over. But any ethereal cable you ever bought will support.
Right.
Any of those features are ARC.
So Mark is saying here that when
Which
he was
Mark
on,
is this?
This is, I believe it's Mark. I believe it's Mark Silver. Again, for some reason, your
Mark.
name doesn't show up on this.
If it is Mark Silver, by the way, been reading your paper, and thank you. I sent it to Adam.
Yeah.
Quite entertaining, and I think we might want to do a show on that.
Yeah. But he's saying when he was on the HDMI committee, the engineers on the board refused
might be a different
to
Martin.
acknowledge, refused to acknowledge the 1.0, 1.1, 1.2 nomenclature in favor of descriptive descriptions.
Yes, and that was for marketing purposes, because you had manufacturers doing, okay, this is an HDMI 1.1 or 1.2 or 1.3. By the time they got to 1.3, so you're not going to use revision numbers anymore. You're going to use feature sets.
Hot tea with honey, that's right. Yeah, hot tea with honey would be fantastic.
And Theraflu, baby.
And yes, it is Mark Silver.
I've been Therafluing it at night.
Yeah. So
It's awesome with the lemon and honey.
you can't fix it. Yeah, I don't know what the deal is with that. It doesn't. It shows up weird. That's weird. Anyway, so
Hi, Mark.
yeah, Mark. Honestly, you've spoken with Mark directly, and of course he sent us over that other
Yeah,
document.
I had a fairly significant.
We may have to have another significant conversation with Mark and talk about some
Well, he's
other stuff.
entertaining.
Yeah. So this document, I'd like to continue on with this a little bit more.
I've got my notes right here.
I may step in. Oh, buddy, don't get me started.
Okay, don't do that to me.
Leo's talking about just like Wi-Fi 6.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mark Silver of Soundscape, by the way. So Wi-Fi 6. The Wi-Fi episode that I did. What was it now?
A year?
And no, I think it was like 6 months ago. I did an episode just on Wi-Fi and the different types of Wi-Fi that are out there. Wi-Fi 6 is just okay. Wi-Fi 6
And
is
you talk
good.
about me going sideways.
Wi-Fi, no, I know, right? Wi-Fi 6 is good because it takes all of the other stuff that was going on, like all the different features and capabilities of the different Wi-Fi things. Because again, Wi-Fi is a lot like HDMI in that there's a lot of different things that it can do and features of it.
None of them are must do.
None of them must do, but it's also like none of them do it really perfectly well. And they don't like Leo don't. They get everything kind of just like with HDMI where we have just ARC. ARC is a really good example for that because ARC was implemented in 1.3, no 1.4. Implemented in 1.4.
Very good. What else was in 1.4?
3D.
Yep.
Was also implemented in that, but a lot of that stuff was implemented, and 3D was actually one of the things that worked. It worked. No one cared. ARC.
That is a very accurate statement.
ARC, everyone cared, but it didn't work.
Also an accurate statement.
So that's and that's kind of like what happened in some of the Wi-Fi stuff, and like Leo's saying, just like Wi-Fi 6, they're basically what they're doing is they're capturing so things are supposed to be, and they're finally kind of locking it down a little bit
codifying
more,
it,
and trying to do that. At least that's what from the way that I read that document. And again, CEDIA has a document on Wi-Fi 6. Go check it out. I don't know if that one's free. That one you may have to pay for, but again, look. Continuing education in this industry is worth it. The amount of money that you're putting into the documents that they have in there, worth it. We're talking, I think one document is $50. I think there may be one that's much larger, that's like $200. But again, continuing education, your brain is the best tool that you have. All right, this is that sounds like something that's supposed to be on like a poster somewhere, but it's true. A lot of times, if look, there's a reason why we evolved past the apes. We built the tools, okay? Because our brains were the better tool to be able to create them. You're going to be out there in the field, and you may not have the tool that you need, but you can make one. In some cases. This is like one of those believe in yourselves posters where...
Oh, no. Okay, first off, all the posters at Metra are the negative posters.
They are. They're fantastic. If you ever come by and visit, you'll see them. They're great. Remember,
every cloud has a silver lining, but thousands of people get killed by lightning every year.
Yeah, exactly. It was all done for exactly. It was all done for write protection. That's all it was done for. HDMI.
Well, let's face it, and
yeah,
that's the reason. That's why we don't have SDI.
Yeah.
Or FireWire, or and even a number of other
DVI for that matter.
Yeah,
I mean, it was FireWire, DVI,
DVI was just a giant plug.
Well, DisplayPort, yeah, DVI was a giant port, and DisplayPort now also has a lot of the same feature sets as HDMI.
So does USB-C,
and so is the USB-C because
this is the direction it's going.
You can actually transmit an HDMI signal across a USB-C cable, and that's what we get. But no, you are correct. Most of this was done just for the purpose of content protection, of write protection.
And honestly, a lot of us are programmers. A lot of us are code creators. If you're a Crestron, AMX guy, you don't want somebody else stealing your work.
Nope.
And I get it. I understand the reason for code protection. The product that you've been working the last 2 years on.
Yep.
Do you want somebody coming in and taking all of your work and making claims it's theirs? No, you don't. You've put a lot of sweat into that project.
Yep.
So protecting your IP is certainly something I understand.
Yeah. Many other better, more reliable systems.
Well, there were.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go into 2.1 just a little bit here. So, and not HDMI 2.1, we're talking section 2.1. On the HDMI document about HDMI 2.1. Okay, moving on. This is where we kind of define the different HDMI devices. Now, again, guys, this is very green. This is very, this is the newbie stuff to go through, but it's so worth it. Get this as your foundation. Brent, what is a source?
Well, a source is anything that's creating content to send forward.
In this case, it's a device with an HDMI output.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, see, I would disagree with that. It could also have DVI.
Well, watch this. So, I guess in their mind, this is in relation to this document and in relation to HDMI specifically. Because yes, you are right. There are other sources that have other types of connections, but we're talking HDMI.
Okay, USB-C.
So a sink What's a sync?
That's a display. That's the end of the line for the signal.
Yep.
And by the way, and this I got this wrong for, I don't know, the first 10 years. It's SINC, or SINK, excuse me.
Yes.
Not SYNC.
No, yeah.
And see, for the first 10 years, because Boccaccio is always talking sync.
Yes, yeah. Well,
And I never saw it spelled.
A source and a sink can be in sync.
Right, and
but
that's
it's-
what,
it's-
so
yeah,
I
it's
put it
different.
as SYNC for the first 10
it's
years.
SINK.
And Jeff looks at me, he's like, what are you, idiot? It's a sync, that's where stuff lines up.
Repeater. What's a repeater?
Frequently you.
Well, no, I do repeat and repeat side on the fence.
Anything that takes a signal, passes it on at, in theory, a larger amplitude or recreates it.
In this instance, it's a device with both HDMI inputs, sinks, and outputs, sources, positioned between the source and sink.
That makes an AVR repeater.
And AV receivers, switches, distribution amplifiers, splitters, matrix switches, accessory products such as audio embedders, de-embedders, video scalers, etc. So, pretty much anything that has an HDMI input and an output on the same device is a repeater. That's basically, in the context of this document, that's
And that's
what
a
it
fair
is.
statement.
Yeah. Well, and because for that matter, essentially what it's doing is it's taking in the electrical signal from
Right.
the source device.
Right, and if you're receiving it, whether you're an AVR, a matrix, a splitter, or a display, you have to treat yourself as the end of the line.
Right.
And then you process it, or whatever it is you're going to do with it,
Yeah.
and then send it back out as the beginning of the line.
Florida and their boy bands. I don't know what you're getting at, Leo. So
O-Town?
we also get into what did we get into? So from there we get into a little bit more, and I'm just going to step, just because we have a little bit more time, I'm going to step into the HDMI protocols just a touch, and I'm wondering if I even should, because there's so much in here. There is so much in here. Hang
I
on.
think that should be held for another show.
I think we might need to.
So-
I think we might need to.
Did we have any interesting phone calls this week? Because obviously we had one this morning,
Yep.
just before the show, which I was getting a little nervous in the time frame. Has a niche AVR. Sony. Okay, sure.
Leo says Florida and their boy bands. I had no idea what he was talking about. He sent back In Sync. I got
Lump-ump.
it. I got it. All right, that's a
Lump-ump.
good one. That's a good one. All right.
O-Town, and
Yeah.
then of course don't forget the Doors.
In Sync. Well, it's
Leonard
sync,
Skinner.
right? It's
Right,
sync.
yes,
you,
but-
you get the joke,
Yeah,
right?
I get it, but don't
it's
forget-
bad that I'm explaining it now because now I'm ruining
remember
it.
Florida has some of the greatest bands out there.
Okay.
Leonard Skinner, The Outlaws, The Doors.
Uh-huh.
Obviously, we're not counting NSYNC, O-Town, and because that doesn't fall into the greatest bands.
Well, boy bands, the greatest boy bands.
You concern me.
I'm just saying, if we're
The smile on your face as you say that.
I'm just saying, if we are defining the best boy bands and just removing all the others,
that's kind of like
we
saying
can have this debate.
That's kind of
about
like
this.
saying
I'm just saying
the best lousy smell.
If you look, that's a debate that can be had. We can have a debate about that.
No,
and here's
no,
the thing.
we're not. No. That's the best way to cook spinach. Don't.
Happy holidays, everyone. Happy holidays. All right, so if this
What
is your
time is
first
it?
time, it is. We are at 3:45. We're pretty much ready to go ahead and start wrapping this up.
I think
we're,
so,
we're at
after
the point
that
there.
spinach
That
comment.
was, oh man, that was great. Everyone, listen.
Thank you, Leo.
Thank you so much for watching today's episode. We are off for the next 2 weeks for our Tech Tips series. So we are on not hiatus. We're on leave for the next 2 weeks.
It's a bye week.
It's 2 bye weeks.
2 bye weeks.
Two bye
Bye.
weeks together. So next Wednesday and the Wednesday after, we will not be having any episodes aired. But
Are we doing an
come
episode
back-
this Friday?
No.
Okay.
No, we are not doing an episode this Friday.
the following two Fridays, so-
so this Friday is today's episode is the last
January
one for
5th.
the year. And everyone, seriously, we have hit a lot of really big milestones this year, and I have to thank all of you so much because you all watching us and subscribing and liking and commenting and sharing
And coming up to the shows
coming
and
out to the
talking
shows.
us.
Yeah, honestly, that has been the biggest thing for me because hearing it from you out in the field that you've watched our stuff and it's either brought up a question that you needed answered, or if it answered a question for you, it makes look, I'm getting emotional here because it makes us feel good because it's good information that we want to get to you out in the field. And we really appreciate you for watching the episodes.
Yeah, it's awesome when somebody calls up and says, I saw on your show about this.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
Yeah, exactly. And we really appreciate that. And we hope that if you know anybody else in the industry who needs more information, professional derailment, if you all know anybody else in the industry that is, is new to the industry, or if you have a new hire that you want to bring onto them, or that you want to bring up to speed on a bunch of stuff, we recommend our videos. Of course, I'll blatantly, push that.
Shilling for us?
Yeah, shilling for ourselves. But YouTube celebrities, I don't know about that. Maybe once we hit 10,000 subscribers.
Look, I'm just looking for 2,000.
Yeah, we're almost at 2,000. We're like okay, 20 subscribers away.
As a birthday gift to me, because I do turn 62 on New Year's Eve. I'm an old man.
You want this to fail, don't you?
Wow.
I'm just. You started it.
Wow. So as I turn 62 on New Year's Eve, I would love to see 2,000. I would love for Adam to call me and say, Brent,
we got it.
We got 2,000.
We got 2,000. Like, share, subscribe, share it out with anybody in the industry that you know.
Your friends, your neighbors.
Put it out there on the different groups that are out there, like Facebook groups and different forums and whatnot. We really appreciate that. And
if you haven't subscribed, please do.
Yep. And of course, come back next year. We're going to start off January 5th with a bang. We're going to be doing some maybe some slight renovations potentially in this area potentially. I haven't fully gotten approval for it yet, but I may just do it and ask for forgiveness later.
I've noticed you discussed it with me.
Yeah,
not.
Yeah, kind of a thing. I may just
why,
do it anyways.
Why make today any different?
Yeah, exactly. So everyone, again, thank you so much.
Why is there $1 here?
I have no idea. Again, I'm making changes to the show.
But lump 'em.
Everyone, thank you so much for watching. Come back next, like I said, first of the year, the first Wednesday of the year, we'll be back at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, like we do normally. We'll be starting up our Friday show again as well on the 5th, I believe, is the first.
Wednesday's the 5th.
Wednesday's the 5th, so the 7th. The 7th is our Friday, so come back on those days and check us out for that.
And if you've got any great ideas for shows that you would like to see us do, please let us know. We are here for you guys.
We also have an email blast that goes out that's asking the same questions. If you have different topics or ideas that you want us to talk about, we actually have a little questionnaire in there. So if you are not part of our email chain for that, if you go onto our website, you can actually sign up for that as well.
I have a question to ask because I've been traveling and have missed some shows. The rack competition, was a decision made?
I believe there was. I don't remember who it was.
Because I was gone.
Yeah. It may have. I don't know.
You know, we should have that on the 5th.
Well, yeah. We'll review that on the 5th. So.
Because we don't know.
Brent, let's go.
However, we do have our TV back.
We do have our TV back. It is currently working. Whether or not it continues to work by the time that we get around to the first of the year will be another matter entirely.
You can see where you're logging it. I don't know if you guys can hear the Christmas music, but we can.
Yep, it's playing there in the background. So, everyone, thank you so much. We'll see you all next time. As always,
obviously, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Yep, Happy Holidays.
Happy Holidays. Be careful, be safe. Subscribe, like us, love us, send us gift cards. I'm not proud.
Sure.
I do turn 62 New Year's Eve, hint, hint, hint. And Adam and I will be back on the 5th doing whatever it is we're doing. Yes.
Mark says happy holidays and happy birthday to Brent.
Thank you, Mark.
Yep. So,
we're continuing on in your article. In fact, I should finish up this weekend. There was some thoughts I had that are nothing of significance, but I'm putting them in the margin. So
go on to and download this document. Read through it. If you go out and visit some extended family that you don't want to really be around, you can go ahead and put it on your phone and read through it instead of talking to them, or not, whatever.
Watch our videos.
Go ahead and do that. Come back next Wednesday the 5th. And we'll
That'll
dive
be the third Wednesday from now.
Right. You all right?
No, I'm going to die over
Come
here.
back that Wednesday. We're going to dive into this a little bit deeper. We're getting into section 2. Section 1 really is just kind of an overview over some.
There's a lot in section 2.
Yeah.
And we've covered pretty much every bit of it in videos in the past, but we're going to consolidate it to a single show.
Yeah. Yep. Happy
whatevers.
Happy whatevers. All right, everybody. Thank you so much.
I'm Brent.
I'm Adam.
Reboot early.
Reboot often.
Turn off CEC.
Don't cut your wires too short.
And call tech support. Have a great. We'll see you on the 5th.
Thanks, everyone. And let's see if it starts doing that. There it is. All right.
Wow.
We got our thing for that.
Wait. Adam. Legacy fella. Okay, just making sure I'm still
Yep,
legacy
you're there.
fella.
You're there. Bye, everyone.